Today we are pulling apart 5-year battery data and what it means for BYD owners and anyone thinking about buying one. We'll look at aggregate degradation trends, compare models and mileage bounds, and check BYD's original promises against what drivers actually see. I'll also show the practical sweet spot for daily charging so you keep that battery healthy for years, with numbers you can use tomorrow. Let's start with the big picture. EV batteries do lose capacity over time, but modern data shows the loss is lower than many expect. Recent fleets analyses and large-scale studies put average degradation at roughly 1.5 to 2.5% per year for many modern EVs, which means most cars still have around 88 to 93% of their original capacity after 5 years. Not the catastrophic collapse that scares headlines sometimes imply. That trend is driven by better chemistry, smarter battery management systems, and improved thermal designs. These Blade packs are part of that story as well. LFP chemistry is inherently more stable and often shows slower calendar aging than nickel NMC cells, especially if the pack and BMS avoid sustained high state of charge and extreme temperatures. BYD has emphasized longevity in its design choices: prismatic cells with robust mechanical support, conservative voltage windows, and pack-level thermal strategies. And independent reporting and industry analysis has repeatedly pointed to BYD's strong real-world durabilities. That's consistent with aggregated industry studies showing gradual, not dramatic, capacity loss in the first 5 years. Now the messy part. Direct, public, 5-year, thousands of cars. BYD data sets are rare in the open literature. We can pull together signals from multiple sources: BYD engineering notes, third-party reviews, fleet anecdotes, and industry analysis. But a single official public data set covering thousands of BYD vehicles for 5 full years is not widely published. That means we must interpret multiple partial data sets and field reports to build a sensible view. Here's what that synthesis shows. Manufacturers give warranty windows and optimistic curves. Independent testers publish lap cycles and short-term field tests. Fleet operators report usage in harsh conditions, but translating this into a single reliable long-term degradation curve for any brand is hard because real life varies. Climate, charging habits, fast charging frequency, and driving profiles all change aging rates. That's the core challenge for anyone wanting hard numbers at the 5-year mark. Given that limitation will be explicit, the next section summarizes what the best available evidence says and where the gaps still exist. Aggregate trends across modern EVs. Large-scale analytic firms and academic groups compiling battery health data across many models show improvement over time. One fleet and telematics analysis reported average battery health decline around 1.8% per year across many vehicles, better than the older estimates and implying most cars rating above 90% a state of health after 5 years. That's industry-level confirmation that battery degradation is slowing as pack. Use this as a baseline context when looking at BYD specifically. BYD uses LFP-specific chemistry in a long prismatic form factor designed for mechanical stability and thermal resilience. Analyst write-ups and conference papers detail how BYD's pack architecture reduces mechanical stress and distributes heat more evenly, both things that help slow capacity loss. Media and industry write-ups have documented BYD customers and fleet users reporting strong real-world longevity. Some fleets and deep dive tests report very modest degradation after multiple years of service. While these are encouraging, they are not single centralized 5-year database you can run the statistics on. What independent studies says about real-world aging? Universities and industry studies published over the last few years show EV battery aging behavior can be gentler than lab tests predicted. One major academic study produced results suggesting that many batteries last longer in real-world use than other worst-case lab cycling, with lifespan expanding meaningfully beyond early expectations. That aligns with the more optimistic fleet analytics. In short, lab tests are useful, but many real-world patterns average out in ways that help longevity. When you slice up the data by the mileage and the brands, familiar patterns appear. Higher annual mileage and frequent high-power fast charging correlate with slightly higher degradation rates. Urban stop-and-go driving with lots of shallow cycles often correlates with low measured degradation than heavy highway mileage combined with many DC fast charging stops. BYD models used in taxis or fleet roles with heavy daily cycles will degrade differently. usually faster than privately owned BYD cars used mostly for commuting. But again, the deviation are usually incremental, not headline crashing. Industry reports show that usage patterns matter a lot more than the brand alone. Two practical levers stand out as everywhere, and they're powerful. Keeping the battery off extreme high state of charge and managing temperature. Studies highlight that charging to 100% and holding at high state of charge accelerates degradation, keeping a pack within a mid-range window. For example, 20 to 80% materially reduces chemical stress and slows aging. For LFP packs like BYDs, certain advantage in cold weather performance exists, but full charges still accelerate calendar stress in many chemistries. Thermal extremes like hot summers, freezing winters also accelerate aging if not properly managed, so usage and charging habits are the big daily controls you actually own. What 5-year reality looks like. Putting the pieces together, here are practical, evidence based numbers and expectations you can have. Typical modern EV average degradation is around 1.5% to 2.5% per year in aggregated datasets, implying roughly 88 to 93% capacity after 5 years in many cases. That's a realistic working baseline from the fleet analytics and aggregated studies. LFP packs, like BYD Blade style, often show comparable or slightly better calendar stability than high nickel NMC packs under moderate use because of chemistry stability. Field reports and analyst commentary point to good real-world durability for BYD Blade packs as well. Though exact 5-year averages across thousands of BYD cars are not publicly centralized. Worst case patterns like frequent daily DC fast charging, constant 100% state of charge use, and operation in extreme temperatures can push degradation significantly above averages, potentially 3 to 5% per year or more in harsh fleets. That's why usage matters. Be clear, these are evidence based ranges, not guaranteed numbers for every single car. They're useful for planning, buying decisions, and warranty expectations. If you want the battery to last and reflect the positive aggregated numbers above, here's the sweet spot for daily commuting. This is the actionable routine recommended by battery experts and supported by degradation studies. The target window of 20 to 80% state of charge. Keep regular daily charging between roughly 20 and 80% state of charge. This window avoids the highest electrode stress at very high state of charge and avoids deep discharge stress at very low state of charge. Studies and industry guidance show mid-range operation reduces chemical stress and slows capacity loss. For most commuters, this window covers daily needs easily. Here is the typical commuter numbers. Most commuters needs 10 to 20 kilowatt hour per day. If your car uses 300 watt hour per mile and your commute is 30 miles round trip, that's 9 kilowatt hour. If it's 40 miles, that's 12 kilowatt hour. Level 2 overnight charging it is between 6 to 11 kilowatts. Adds 6 to 11 kilowatt hour per hour. So a 2-hour overnight plug-in at 7 kilowatt adds enough power. This keeps you off frequent DC fast charging and keeps the battery within the safer mid-range. DC fast charging when needed. If you must use DC fast charging occasionally, aim to arrive with state of charge in the 10 to 40% range and charge only up to about 60 to 80% depending on the trip needs. It captures the high power plateau and avoids the long time expensive taper at the top end. And it reduces cumulative stress compared to repeatedly charging to 100%. Use DC fast chargers sparingly for long trips rather than daily top-ups. This practice limits the accelerated wear associated with frequent high-power events. Temperature management. Precondition the battery on the way to the charger. If you live in a cold climate, warm batteries accept charge faster and reduce plating risk. In hot climates, avoid charging immediately after aggressive driving without letting the pack cool. Proper thermal control reduces stress and aligns the real-world outcomes with better aggregated degradation numbers. If average degradation is 1.8% per year with conservative use, but your habits is like 100% daily charging and a lot of DC fast charging, we push that to 3% per year. Over 5 years, that's a difference between 91% remaining and 85% remaining capacity. That difference has real resale and performance implications. Small daily choices compound into real long-term differences. BYD's marketing and technical briefings emphasize durability and long cycle life for Blade LFP packs. BYD's public claims and warranties are generally conservative on expected pack life, and independent analyst reporting and fleet anecdotes largely validate that BYD packs are durable in typical consumer use. However, because a centralized peer-reviewed 5-year data set covering thousands of BYD cars isn't broadly published, we triangulate from BYD technical literature and pack design documentations, industry conference papers discussing Blade battery architecture and durability, fleet analytics and telematic studies showing modern EV degradation. The upshot: BYD's projection of strong longevity are supported by the weight of evidence and field reports, but the community would benefit from more open, audited longitudinal data sets specifically covering thousands of BYD vehicles to nail precise 5-year averages and model-by-model breakdowns. Here's the bottom line you can use right now. Modern EV batteries, including BYD's Blade LFP packs, age more slowly than many fear. Aggregated analysis put average degradation at roughly 1.5 to 2.5% per year, meaning many cars retain well over 85 to 90% capacity after 5 years. BYD's design choices and the real-world anecdotal evidence aligns with this positive trend, though an open massive BYD specific 5 years data set would make conclusions even stronger. Your power as an owner is less. Follow the sweet spot routine, charge mostly between 20 and 80%, and use overnight level 2 charging for daily needs, precondition in cold weather when possible, and save DC fast charging for trips. Those simple habits will push your real world result toward the better end of degradation range and protect resale value.